Hey, it's Matt with the Allied Inspection coming to you today from the Poconos, and we're going to talk about decks, in particular joist hangers. So this deck behind me is a pretty massive structure. There's definitely some visual cues here that indicate there are problems. But if you could see this beam actually starting to drop down, which is because this column right here is starting to settle. Pointing at the wrong thing. There we go. But if you get up on top of this deck, you notice even more dips, sags, undulations. Long story short, this deck is a major in our report, and for the most part, complete replacement is recommended. There are just too many issues going on here to try to fix each one individually. What's going on here exactly? So what we're dealing with is dissimilar metal corrosion. So there are fasteners that are securing the different framing members to each other. So back in the day, other than nails, there was no middleman when it came to connecting the different framing members. So the framing members in this case is we have columns which are supporting beams. The beams then are supporting the joist, and the joists are supporting the actual decking on top. And of course you have the band joist going around, which is securing the guardrail component. So all these things are integrated together. This particular deck has columns on one end with a beam, and then on the other end there are a beam, but ultimately there is what's called a ledger board that's anchored to the house. So the joists are then anchored or secured to the ledger board by what we call joist hangers. And you'll notice this is a joist hanger that looks pretty good. There's a handful of good ones. And as you start to go down the line, eventually you come across something like this. Completely corroded, rusted all the way through. What the heck is going on here? Now wait, it gets worse. Because you come underneath here, you got some joists that look good, and then you go right next to it and you got rusting ones. Whoops. Uh-oh. Well, it was already broken. Anyway, so as you go through here, there is just a plethora of these joist hangers that are completely rotted through. Now I've been doing this for over 19 years, and I've never seen this much extensive rot and corrosion to joist hangers ever. So this is an issue. Not only is it completely gone, you can actually see where the joist is dropped down now several inches. So this whole structure is compromised, and I don't know. So I mentioned a little bit that it's corrosion and rust occurring, but it's a result of electrolysis where you have different metals touching each other. So you may be saying, wow, there's metal touching wood. Kind of, sort of, yes. There is, the joist hanger is metal, generally steel, and it's coated in a zinc coating, galvanized coating. And then the joists are treated, it's pressure treated lumber. And part of some of the treatments they used back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was some copper in there. So now you have copper and it is reacting to the zinc and sort of accelerating this process, especially in some of these areas, I believe is all the salt in the winter trying to melt some of the snow off this, because we are up in the Poconos, so there's definitely a good amount of snow up here. So what happens though with this copper in the pressure treated lumber, it has this electrolysis effect with the zinc coating, and the zinc is basically the weak end, the weak link, and it starts to corrode and deteriorate. Let it go long enough, and I guess this is what happens. They completely rot out, and the joists basically have no support. You got yourself a pretty extensive repair. So it's nothing that I think anyone did wrong. It was just a matter of materials that failed. You know, in a type of environment, again, if they were using a lot of salt to treat the deck and treat the ice on the deck, that definitely didn't help the cause. But in this particular case, there is probably close to $15,000, 10 to 15,000 in redoing this deck. Good thing the buyers who are buying this as an investment opt for the home inspection. So good on them, and we caught this amongst several other things. If you are building a deck and you are concerned about something like this happening down the road, or you are in the Poconos, or you are going to be using salt, heavily, it's a good idea to invest in stainless steel joist hangers and using the right material is rated for that application. We see a lot of times where the joist hanger is fine, but the nails they use to secure the joist hanger to the framing members, the nails start rotting and rusting away and deteriorating. So you have to ensure you use the correct nails. So these deck construction, you gotta know what you're doing. It's not necessarily a homeowner project. For years and years, it used to just kind of be something a homeowner would do and team up with their neighbors and get a case of beer and spend a weekend putting a deck together. I'm sure some of those decks are still standing, but if you want to get it done right, contract with a qualified deck contractor to make sure that these little details are taken care of, because all it takes is buying a box of wrong nails and you could be looking at a pretty extensive repair down the road. I hope you found this useful, helpful, informative, I don't know, entertaining. So I'm Matt with Allied. Have a great day, and thanks for checking out this video.